Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by Living To Do's review of Married at First Sight Season 18, Episode 9, called You're Into Some Crazy Stuff. Before I get started with the review, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate it and thank you in advance. Before I get started, some congratulations are in order. First, I want to congratulate Vincent and Brianna from I think it was season 12 maybe. They had their second baby, a little boy. They had him on November 17th. He's Kai Miles Morales, and that is their second baby, joining their 23-month-old baby girl, Bella. And also, congratulations are in order to Johnny, and I think he was season 13. He was married to Bao, and he remarried someone else. So congratulations to Johnny. I hope he's happy. Okay, so let's get started with the review. A lot went on, I thought, this episode. Some strange stuff. You can always expect that. So let's talk about Carla and Juan. And it's 21 days after marriage. And we see Juan is on his bike. He's bike riding. And he's doing this while Carla sleeps till 1 p.m. Carla, you're going to have to show a little bit more in some energy, do something. You seem really lazy. I don't know. And I don't think he's going to be attracted to a lazy person. They go out to lunch and Juan looked good, real good. They discuss her family and how they had family issues. They come from a big Mexican family, she said. And when they had issues in the family, they just didn't talk about it. That's how they dealt with it. And there was no affection. Everybody was very cold. After going through that, she did go to therapy where she learned to be more mindful and how to show up for people. So she was straight up asking Juan for affection. Juan says he's not there yet, but he's working on it and he's asking for her patience. Carla said that affection is really important and she wants to see him make an effort because an effort needs to be made in that area of their relationship. They meet with Dr. Pia. Dr. Pia asked how their marriage is going. Carla says she's adjusting. Juan says that he hasn't met Carla's parents yet and she's working on to make sure the relationship's right before she does that, which is kind of weird. They are married. And Juan says that he respects Carla's speed. And I'm thinking to myself, does he, or is he happy because he's not attracted to her, so it's a relief. So he's not working towards anything. So you're never going to have a real relationship. You're not going to meet the parents because you don't care. There's just no effort on his part in that area. Carla says she doesn't feel like she's in a romantic relationship. He says he's just not there at this time. And I say if he's not there now, then more than likely he's not going to get there for whatever reason. He claims she's sexy, but he doesn't feel attracted to her. They want to know how can they get there in a romantic way. Carla says she wants to feel cared for. Dr. Pia offers that they should think as a unit, operate as a unit, to initiate closeness. She really does have some good ideas. I really like her. Later, Juan and Carla went out to lunch. And here he was asking more probing questions about her life, which showed effort. He did seem genuinely interested. He spoke about himself. He said he moved to the U.S. from Colombia at 7. They lived in New York, and then they moved somewhere else where he became a soccer player in high school. And then in high school, he was scouted to be a model. Very interesting. Carla wants to open up her own business, a brick and mortar business, and she would have to give up a lot to do that. I think that he's hinting that she can't be spending all this money all crazily, and you're going to have to buckle down, save your money, and be responsible. I think he loves that she's ambitious about opening her own business. So, he doesn't see you as a total loser. So I don't know. We'll see about them. I think if they could connect on some level, it just, I think he needs to open up, but I don't know if he doesn't want to. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to Madison and Allan. After the football game, Madison goes back to the apartment where Allan is in bed, and then we hear a backstory about what really happened the night before. And apparently they were at the apartment drinking, and they decided to go out to a bar for more drinks. And we see footage of them all, a couple of ladies and Allan on the couch drinking, and they go to a bar. Well, at this bar, I guess they're having a good time, but Madison leaves Allan. She just goes off somewhere and doesn't return for the longest time. Well, Allan is pissed off, and it's so frightening. He goes home. He just picks up his stuff. I don't know how they both got there. Did you come together? Or maybe they Ubered over there because they were drinking. So he just leaves. And I guess she comes out of the bathroom she said she was in, and he was gone. And then I guess they finally met up at the house. But that was so crazy. Now, I don't believe that she was just in the bathroom, because I think that Allan would have waited a good amount of time for her. And then when it became ridiculous, he left. And then she's just going to say, I was in the bathroom. Doing what? Doing who? Was David in the bathroom? I don't believe her. That was so fishy. And she should seem like she should want to explain herself, because it was just ridiculous. Allan said they could have both used their phone to contact each other, but they didn't. And I guess he went to bed, and when he woke up, he was kind of mad, and he didn't want to participate in her activities. I think back, and I think she could have been just mean to him for whatever reason, just to be a mean girl at the bar. I believe she could have just take him out on his birthday, take him to a bar, and not engage with him or be around him for a long period of time. I'm just thinking about that. On his birthday? Just say you were in the bathroom for that time? Allan believes, and he was mature enough to say that he believes he was retaliating against her because of her behavior the night before and not wanting to go to the game. Now, him saying retaliating is triggering for her. That's what she's saying, due to some issue in a past relationship. And it's also possible that she's saying that to give herself an out. I could see how she's going to put this retaliating thing on the back burner in her back pocket in case she needs to dig a little deeper, create another hole to get herself out of this relationship. It just doesn't feel genuine when she engages with him. They agree that they want to work on their struggles, and they watch a movie together, because that's the quality time that he's asking for. I mean, at times she seems like she gives him what he wants. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel real. It's not genuine. Later, they are in a confessional, but the confessional is in his Jag. And I must say, Allan looked really good in his Jag. He looked kind of hot. He just looked really good in it. They were on their way to visit with Dr. Pia. They discussed the issue that happened at the bar. And Madison is chalking it up to her being too independent. Dr. Pia asks for her to prioritize Allan. She says she wants to be complimented by him. And so Dr. Pia gives them a homework assignment to play a game of Twister, with sexual questions and let the thing unfold. So they play this game, and so Allan gets the wine, so it becomes wine twister. I think that's to make things a little bit more flexible. So in the game, they're asking a lot of sexual questions, like your favorite sexual position. Allan says cowgirl or reverse. She likes foreplay, and she asked him what makes you feel hot and bothered, and he says taking a shower and dropping the towel. Most attractive thing about your wife, he's asked, and he says she's pretty hot. And then Madison was asked to whisper something dirty in her partner's ear. So she whispers, "I'm not wearing any underwear." But it's a hot mic, so we hear her say that.
Whisper something naughty in your partner's ear.
Oh, God. I can't wait for this.
I'm not wearing any underwear.
Seriously?
Oh, Allan is asked his best sex moan, and he tells her that he doesn't really have a sex moan. He just breathes heavy. And then he gives us an example of that.
Show your best sex moan? Okay, I don't moan.
Every guy has some type of
I don't
voice
moan, but I think it's heavy breathing. Like, ooh.
Oh my God. All right, I'm good.
Madison was asked if you thought about your partner in a sexual way. She said yes, and this was news to Allan. When the game was over, he said that he could have made some moves, like get up under her, and she said that he could have. And he goes, "You want to reset the game?" Allan's personality is really cute. It is just really cute. Okay, let's go on to Michelle and David. They went out on an outing. The outing was to get their eyebrows done. Guess whose idea that was? And the person doing the eyebrows was Michelle's friend. And Michelle introduced David. She just says, "This is David," when she introduced him. She didn't say, "This is David, my husband," or "This is my husband, David. This is my husband." She didn't bring that up at all. Michelle informed her friend that they're taking steps forward in their relationship, and then they're taking steps back. Now, Michelle's friend claimed that Michelle's always a positive person. What? You talking about Michelle? This Michelle? And this was news to David. She claims that Michelle is a breath of fresh air, and they have been friends for like 12 or 13 years. David gets his eyebrows done, and they just talk about Michelle, and he says that she has, her walls up. And I just keep thinking, if her walls are up, don't scale those walls. Leave her where she is. Don't go after her. I just think she's doing too much. She's being too mean, I think. She's doing better than other people in past seasons that are not attracted to your spouse. I don't know. It gets better, but I know she knows better. She's just in a rut. She doesn't know how to move in the right direction. It's like bumper cars, and someone needs to set her straight a little bit. Now, the friend suggests that they go out on a date like roller skating, where they could hold hands. Her friend was such a nice lady. She seemed to be a really good person. Later, Michelle goes bowling with David's friends, and he introduced Michelle as his wife. Why couldn't Michelle do that? I know maybe it's easy to say. If you're in a position where you just cannot be a part of a situation, you cannot make it your reality. It's so crippling to see these people. They're like crippled. They become in crippled mode. when they just can't get their way and they have to act a certain way on TV. David seemed to have a great group of friends. His friends say that David was raised right. He was raised properly. Michelle says she's open-minded in the relationship when she was coming to the relationship. And one thing she didn't like about David was this cussing. And I remember her telling him that it was an easy fix. His friend said that's an easy fix. But she said he cussed in front of her mother and she was really embarrassed. I don't even think David knew that story. But she says that he's nice and respectful. But she says the whole situation doesn't feel natural. And she's shutting down. His friend asked her, he thinks that maybe she's looking for the perfect guy and that's unrealistic. And he asked her what was important to her, and she said family and love. His friend said that David is not full of shit. He's a good guy. He seems to have really good friends. The friends that they met last week, Mike, his friend who owns his home, put her in her place about the $23.50 that she's paying in rent. Now, I think his friends were straightforward with her. They treated her with respect and with maturity. I think she respected the conversation and she didn't back down from it. Dr. Pia met with just Michelle. Now, she informed Dr. Pia that they are getting along better, though she says that she's settling for something that she doesn't want. She feels like she's going backwards. She feels going backwards in that a simple life is failure. And that's what it is. She doesn't want that. It was hard for her to get out of it in the first place, and how he's living and what he's accepting as his life is not what she wants. And I don't know how she doesn't, she says she worked hard for what she has and she wants to enjoy that. And Dr. Pia says, well, who's stopping you from enjoying those things? Just because you get with him, doesn't mean you can't go to fine dinners and do whatever. She just thinks that this man is poor and she's going to be poor. Michelle told a story of how she moved from a small town to the big city and she got a job. Her friends helped her move up and she got a place here, a place there, until she got to the place where she is now as far as her apartment and her position. And then Dr. Pia pointed out to her that someone helped her, showed her a different lifestyle, and she can be that for David. Doesn't mean he's less than you. And she has to keep that in mind. Even as she's talking to him and she's more cultured because she's done more things, eating sushi, getting her eyebrows done, fine restaurants or whatever, he's still a person who deserves the same dignity and respect as you in all your life experiences. And whatever changes that she wants in David, he does attempt to do it. She says that David claims to be a good provider, but she doesn't see that financially. And Dr. Pia asked, is that the only way you can be a provider is financially? And she was quick to say yes. And Dr. Pia pointed out that you can also be a good provider when you provide safety and security, which leads me to believe that David doesn't have the money in the bank because that his friend vouched that he did, because Dr. P is not reinforcing that notion. What does he do for a living? And doesn't he have 2 jobs working like the second and third shift? What is he doing on those shifts? What do you think he's doing for a living? Now, his looks, when you look at him, he does look like a chef in a diner. But I don't know. I don't know what he does for a living. He could be something else. But what is he doing Maybe he's a bartender because that's what they did before. So that makes sense. Later, Dr. Pia meets up with both David and Michelle, and David says things are getting better. Dr. Pia offered up some clips of them in interviews stating that what they wanted in a mate. And it was interesting to see that those clips showed what they asked for and what they actually got in real life. Michelle clocked Dr. Pia because she knew what she was trying to do. And it was upsetting Michelle to the point where she asked David to leave the apartment. And he stepped out while she spoke with just Michelle again. When they were alone, Michelle told Dr. Pia that there's no connection. And Dr. Pia tried to convey to her, Michelle, is not allowing a connection. Later, David came back. I swear David is such a good sport in all this. Someone's not feeling you the way she's not feeling you, and you're seemingly okay. But it has to be embarrassing. Oh. So they conclude that Michelle will try in the relationship. And she told David how she really feels about him wanting a simple life. And she believes that's going backwards. And she thinks going backwards makes her feel like a failure. And he was totally understanding to how she feels about the situation. He just meant that a simple life meant an easy life, not a lot of hassle. So after she opened up to him and cleared up the air, it seems like they're going to take a step forward. And Dr. Pia told Michelle, let that man in. So we got to wait and see what's going to happen with those two. If she can get over herself and let that man in. Okay, let's get to Ikechi and Emem. We first see Emem. She goes into a restaurant called Low Country for a crab boil. She's there with her friend Chrissy, who was at her party the week before, and another friend. They're talking about the party. They discuss that EKG is not showing up in the marriage. She tried to talk to him. It was around 9 p.m. and that was his bedtime. And he told her that it was too late. She doesn't know how to get to him to show up in the marriage. She also gave them a story about them going to dinner. Emem asks, how did you prepare for marriage? And this question seemed to anger EKG in the restaurant. He was in the restaurant. He raised his voice at her, so much so she believed that they needed to leave the restaurant. And she was also later requesting to speak to experts. What kind of foolishness? Why is he always creating a scene? That type of behavior is behavior that warrants therapy. Whatever he's got bottled up inside of him, making him act this crazed, he needs to let that out somehow, some way. Because you don't act like that because someone asked you a simple question. Later, we see her entering another restaurant. Now this time she's meeting with Dr. Pia. Later, Ikechi comes in. He enters. He takes a seat away from his wife. Dr. Pia asks, don't you want to sit next to your wife? And he says, I'm choosing to take a seat. Passive aggressive much? It's so childish. Dude, you're on camera. He acts like he's 9 years old. Anyway, they talk about the question that bothered him in the restaurant. Dr. Pia asks, wouldn't that be a way to get to know one another? Well, apparently not in this case. I'm not sure what he wants. He wants chaos. He wants to stir the pot. You don't know if he's coming or going. You don't see where his logic begins and ends. It's just chaos. He wants confusion. I don't know if he realizes that this just makes him look crazy. You would ask questions to get to know somebody. He says, there's no sex until we get to know one another. So when a person, okay, this doesn't make any sense. He doesn't want her to ask questions, but he can't have sex because he doesn't know her. And to get to know her, you have to have questions. You have to ask questions. The signs are there. The red flags are everywhere. Don't ask me questions. I can't have sex with you because I don't know you, and I'm not going to get to know you because I'm not allowing you to ask questions. This constant loop, and then I want to stay in their marriage. What is she supposed to do in the meantime? It's also a way of controlling the situation. In this conversation, he says she's aggressive again. He gives examples of her aggressiveness. She was, pushing up on him, wanting him, and he doesn't want it. And he says, well, what I didn't like is Dr. Pia offered up a title to what he was experiencing. She was violating his consent. And he's like, yeah, that's it. That's an easy out. She sat there and he didn't want to tell the story. He got her permission. Said, she's getting mixed signals from him. She told a story that when they were at the honeymoon, they were on the shuttle bus, and she actually put her hand on his leg. And then he took her hand and put it on his nether regions, is what she said. So this is telling her he wants to move forward. He wants to be touched by her. He wants to be touched intimately by her. These are the signs. In fact, you almost said it. You place her hand on your body part. So when she initiates some intimacy, he's pushing her back. So he's giving her mixed signals, causing confusion, making her feel crazy. He's gaslighting her. He's working her over. Actually, I'm not believing his story about how she was aggressively trying to initiate intimacy. And he better not be lying. I think he's lying. Because how on earth are you going to go on national television and embarrass this woman like this? To try to be intimate with someone you don't know, especially the first time, is a vulnerable position to be in, and you just didn't care. I think you're a terrible, terrible person. So Dr. Pia asked if they still want to work things out and continue on with the relationship. And enthusiastically, she was saying yes. I believe that is just desperate. And the problem is, if there were qualified men out in the world, she could throw this man back in the pond. He is just swamp people. It's just that she is trying to pick up, the bottom of the barrel and try to make something out of that relationship and build a lifelong relationship with somebody who's subpar. God, it is so sad. So sad. What are your options? What are your options? Now, he wants to try. He wants them to be themselves. And that's funny. I think he's so performative, but he wants him and her to be themselves. And I know she was playful, and that is part of how she is. But so Dr. Pia asked, what can she do, to work on this marriage? What some steps? And he wants to enjoy. She wants him. She wants her, I guess, and them together to enjoy nothingness. Nothingness? He wants to do nothing with her, show her nothing, give her nothing, be nothing. What a life of nothingness? So the outcome can be nothing. And nothing will advance in this relationship. And that's what he wants. And you're teaching MM to accept this mess. I'm saying she's really, really desperate. There was a cute little scene with them. He did meet her at her place of employment and saw how she works. And I guess she has some type of cosmetic surgery. I think she's an RN, but and she, boy, oh boy, she is strong. And when I say strong, she has strong back to take his mental, psychological abuse on camera like this. I don't know if that's strong. I know half of it you got to play for the camera, so you got to, but oh my God. I really hope they're not together. I don't want to know in advance, but that's just hard to watch. Okay, let's go to the last couple, which is Camille and Thomas. Finally, my favorite couple. So after the football game with them, they go back to their apartment and they're really sore. And apparently Thomas is real competitive. I guess he pushed Camille out the way so he can score a touchdown. And all that roughness, I bet she likes that. So Thomas is really sore, and Camille, she plans to get the soreness out, and she's rubbing oil all over him, and they're having a brief conversation about that black-white thing again. And he's just, he's basically has a good understanding of the black woman's plight, so, okay, that's great. Camille told him not being black enough or the black issue is not a deal breaker. And he realizes he can be a little timid when it comes to initiating intimacy. He's just a sweet guy. So later, Thomas is putting rose petals on the ground when Camille comes in. And she likes the rose petals. And he has this massage set up for her with the candles. And she says that Thomas is looking good in his tight t-shirt. And I agree with Camille. Thomas is looking good to me. And while he's giving her a massage, he's asking her about her problematic areas. And he starts kissing her back. And she seems to really like that. I think she really liked it because Camille says they need to stop playing around and see what this is all about.
I don't know. Maybe it's time to stop just playing around and see what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say no.
All right. Well, cheers.
And they head to their bedroom. So, in other words, how black is your love? They go shopping, and there's a little pep in his step. And he has this leather jacket on, and he's shopping for an earring. And I think he said previously that he had earrings in the past. And they show a little clip of him, saying that, talking about the earring he used to wear. And then he has on a gold chain. And, I don't like guys that wear jewelry, gold chain. But this looked good on him. He looked like Apollonida, and I know I've said that in the past. He really looked like Apollonida, the Phaedra Parks' ex-husband on Real Housewives of Atlanta. He looked really, really good. I mean, maybe he's a triplet. He just looked like Apollo. He was hot. Oh. You hear Thomas saying that he's happy. Recently, things have been feeling real good. I bet, Thomas. I bet. Later, they meet with Dr. Pia. And Thomas tells Dr. Pia that he's really impressed by Camille. And Dr. Pia asked if they consummated their relationship. And guess what? They consummated their relationship. Who knew Thomas would be first? You go, Thomas. And then Dr. Pia mentioned if they set up boundaries. And Camille has no boundaries. Thomas was all smiling. I mean, whips and chains. You know what? Camille does kind of seem like that. Thomas doesn't. At least he doesn't seem like that. And maybe she can, not maybe she could, but maybe that would open up a different world for Thomas. Can you imagine Thomas being all into that? Yeah, oh my goodness. Anyway, Dr. Pia asks, what does it take to get to the next level? And I guess the next level is love. And Thomas is having a hard time with the L word. In fact, he calls it the L word. He wants her to see every side of him. Now he starts crying. He mentions something about when you love someone, you should tell them. And I think that might be his dad and his dad's death. And I don't know if they told each other that they loved him. I'm not sure what was missing or what is being missed now. I don't know. But he had a little moment where he was drawing a tear and she was rubbing his back. And he sits so close to her. It's just, I am so happy. I think this relationship could really work. They were just tender with one another. He feels bad because I guess another thing is he cheated on his last relationship. We need to get more into this. And he didn't think he deserved love and being with her, and she's a good person. He's so happy to have a second opportunity for love. Just really thoughtful and just deep. And I think he wasn't, I don't know if he was ever deep. He didn't seem like he was ever deep before, but he was just deep with it, and she consoled him, and he just had a moment. And he thinks, or I think it's her that said that love is when you can't see yourself, can't see life without the other person. That was a good episode. That was a lot happened. And I think we're going to see more of their intimate side, Camille and Thomas. I really liked it. But that is it for now. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and I thank you in advance. But I got to go because I got living to do. Bye.